South Africa have demolished Wales 73-0. That is correct, 73-0.
As a backline player, I know it's the worst thing in the world, but I would love to see a 8-0 bench.
The great Bryan Habana is here. But Eben Etzebeth, what were you thinking?
It's a really stupid thing to do, and for a person of his calibre, it is disappointing.
How will Wales be feeling?
Not great. Again, you're more positive looking at this Six Nations than I would be looking at the previous one.
Who did Shaggy choose to interview him last night?
It wasn't me.
No, it was Emily Scarratt. He's got 3 songs that I can remember, which is It Wasn't Me, Angels, and I can't now remember the... Yeah, Boombastic, there we go. And I was about to say, and I can't remember the third. We've also been taking on Jimmy Anderson in the nets. Go on, Jimmy.
And you've been getting schooled by some under-14s. These balls hit you square in the hands, and both of them just hit the floor.
All here at the Emirates Dubai Sevens. We're joined by World Cup winner, former World Player of the Year, and of course HSBC ambassador Bryan Habana. Bryan, how you doing, mate?
Hello, gentlemen. Lots of
morning.
sunscreen over the last 3 days.
Coley's been particularly uncomfortable in this heat, as have I, actually, to be fair.
Yeah. I've been having fun.
After sun, Coley, at least?
Yeah, after sun, natural yoga, ice baths, everything really. It took about 20 minutes on the first day to get me. I had been wearing a hat, but I was running around so fast the hat blew off, and yeah, next thing you know...
you were known for your speed though, so I can imagine you running fast and your head
mate, it was
it's
tough.
a true story.
Coley's bucket hat, Dubai has it now. Dubai has that now. Of course, yesterday's game, Wales versus the Springboks, 73-0. Not a pretty scoreline for Wales, of course.
What's the Springbok fans' reaction been to this sort of Autumn Nation series? Like, is it they're impressed by South Africa's strength in depth, or are they sort of semi-underwhelmed by the European teams?
Coley, to be fair, the game against France was as box office as you get, and post that, the game against Italy, which we got pushed really close, backed up by Ireland game that was disastrous in so many ways. But I think the Springbok physicality, particularly up front, has been a phenomenal platform of success, and it's not a reflection on the quality of the Northern Hemispheres, but where the progress of the Springbok squad has got to. You're missing a few frontline players, the likes of Andre Pollard, that's not even in the reckoning, with the Sasha Feinberg, Ngoma. I think the dominance up front in the game yesterday, I'm very not a part of that jury to think a game outside of the test window, particularly given that there was games before the test window, games after the test window, 13 Welsh play. And honestly, the Welsh Rugby Union is already in a lot of dire straits. To then add this level of complexity, as great as the Springbok Rugby supporter to see a 73-0 scoreline, I'm not quite sure what we're doing for the game in terms of making it fun and exciting. An unfortunate ending with the Eben Etzebeth's incident, which it's unfortunately going to probably be heavily looked at for the right reasons. And so for us, it was a great Northern Hemisphere tour. 13 out of 15 games won this season, the platform to end the year as number 1 team in the world. Rassie's innovation, his ability to think out the box and put pressure on opposition teams in the way the team plays. And the biggest thing for me is the resilience in this group, in their structure. Taking Sia Khaleesi off in his 100th game, with the red card, having substitutions, taking a front row forward off 35 minutes into the first half, not even at any point, and the way these players just are so resilient in the belief of their structures, and everyone is 100% committed to contribution. It's a great place to be in as a Springbok fan at the minute.
That's one thing we noticed, especially after the French game. And so when Khaleesi's gone off the field, he's on the sideline shouting instructions, shouting encouragement. Like, you could see every member of that team seems to know their place in wants to be part of the squad, and they're not bothered if it's sort of like starting bench or just in the squad, but they want to be involved and push, and their special place. Like we've had, not every squad we've ever been in has been one of those where everyone wants to have knows their part, but wants to be involved and wants to just be part of it, whether you're starting, you know what I mean? Like
it's incredibly united. You can just see it. Like you look at it and there's almost envy from the outside of, can you imagine being part of that, I felt like we maybe had a small window of that in our England careers, where you're part of a team that you've really felt that you can mix against anyone, but there seems to be the longevity of this team that you look on the outside and you think, my gosh, to be part of that must be something very special.
It is. You talk about longevity. I was there when Sia made his debut in 2013. I was there when Eben Etzebeth made his debut in 2012. Peter Steph Tutoy, Damon Dalenda, Jesse Creel was around. I was on the field when Malcolm Marx made his debut in 2016 in New Zealand, right? And I'm thinking the longevity of these players, and every World Cup squad that wins a World Cup is the most experienced World Cup squad ever. This side has now won 2 in a row, putting themselves in an opportunity to go for a third. And if you look at the caliber, not only of the experience, but the way Rassie's intertwined really incredible youth and exhilaration to make the step up even easier for these players. The depth of squad that he's got at the minute, I think it's the envy of the world, and rightly so. And to your point, I think I'm not sure if you watched Chasing the Sun 2. There's this sort of incredible clip after the loss against Ireland in the pool stages of Rugby World Cup 2023.
Yeah, I've seen the clip.
Where Rassie just goes absolutely ballistic. And like the one sort of strapline is, he goes at Sia, captain, already won a World Cup. He goes, Sia Khaleesi is not the biggest thing in South Africa. South Africa is the biggest thing in South Africa. And just the platform and foundation that he sets of every contributing factor to understand what role they're playing. And I always say people don't understand. South Africa's got an extremely unique, diverse culture. We're still broken in a lot of elements in our country. We're still divided in a lot of elements within our country, economically, infrastructurally. But this Springbok team, 2019 was by far our greatest moment in terms of where we can get to as a country, but how they each and individually contributing to the greatest success through hard work, understanding of roles, and always putting the team above themselves. It's so good to be a Springbok sport. And hey, to be honest, them winning gives us old farts a bit of job opportunities, right? So I'm not complaining.
It all works out well. We obviously spoke about how united that squad is, and saw your tweet obviously regarding Eben Etzebeth. We've all seen the incident. When a squad is that united, and an incident like that happens, it's very difficult, to watch that, see that, and react to that in a way that sort of allows that to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can't condone it in any way or form. And I think the difficulty around social media, I sort of jumped on X with the Ireland game, and we talk about player welfare. I really believe James Ryan's clean out was horrendous, and I think the fact that 29 years on from the game becoming professional, we're still talking about inconsistency, where you're losing ardent fans of the game, where rugby is such a complicated sport that if you're losing your ardent fans and not allowing your new generation fans to understand this complex sport because of inconsistency, it makes frustrated. And I got absolutely backlashed on X last week, incorrectly in my opinion, because I really did believe, and Nigel Owen sort of followed my tweet saying he believed it was a permanent red with the longer suspension. And if we're talking about player welfare, the fact that you're giving someone a reduced ban of 2 weeks because he said sorry, I mean, what does that say to player welfare, right? It does make sense. And then Eben's incident yesterday, I had about 4,000 messages of people saying, Bryan, you're really quiet. Your silence is deafening. And I'm like, I've been at the Emirates Dubai Sevens the whole day, you absolute idiots. I haven't had time to watch the whole game. So I then did see the incident, and I think there's the last 5-10 seconds of that 3-minute brawl, whatever happened. So I actually haven't seen the whole game. It is unfortunate. I think for a player of his caliber, what he has achieved, easily not only the most capped test player of all time, but one of the greats that has ever worn the Springbok jersey. I don't think this incident will define his career. It will put a bit of a damper on a guy that has been SA Rugby Player of the Year, should have been, in my opinion, a World Rugby Player of the Year sometime, double World Cup winner. And he's always toyed with a line of aggression, but it's always been the right side of the line. He's never overstepped, and there's maybe been 1 or 2 incidents in the past. I don't think it defines his character, personally, and to your point, the players will definitely back him. Was it justified? 100%. And, hopefully the decisions World Rugby make are consistent with the decisions. It's the most number of yellow and red cards we've seen in an Autumn Nation series ever. And does that make the game more exciting? I'm not sure. Yeah,
look, it was a real shame what obviously happened. Coley, you obviously spoke about, you've been in those mauls and brawls and when scuffles happen. I've never been anywhere near them. But we were chatting about it this morning after seeing the incident, and just your views on it.
I just think it's daft in regards to whether it's intent or not. Anytime you put your hands in someone's face, in the game, it's I'm not going to say it's similar to the no arms clear outs we've seen in the game, but there's certain things you can't do in the game anymore. And I think going into someone's face, you just can't, because you run the risk. And I think slow-mo, whether it makes it look worse, better, whatever, the contact's been made and you can't defend that. And that's, it didn't need to happen either. 73-0 up, and it's I know you can say play to aggression, you fine line, 2 minutes to go. It's just, you know what I mean? You just what point are you proving? But again, that comes down to the physicality of the man and the aggression you play with. So, but yeah, it's anytime you go into this one's face, it's daft, isn't it? That's ultimately you're going to pay the price and you get it banned, and that's what happens. But that's, is the game we say has to be consistency in regards to, you probably prefer to get cleared out than poked in the eye. So it's the consistency of where the disciplinary is.
If he shows remorse and says sorry, I'm hoping it gets reduced, right? Because that's the precedent that has been set over the course of the last 5 weeks. Listen, a stupid action that will definitely lead to some severe consequences. And World Rugby, I think just in terms of the consistency, that's all we're looking for. And for a player of his caliber, it was a very dumb thing to do, and he'll take full accountability. Rassie, fronted up in the media, said it was justified. Yes, we don't know what led up to that incident, were their words said, whatever that is. But even to your point, Coley, in the game of rugby with so many cameras, so many eyes on you, it's a really stupid thing to do. And for a person of his caliber, it is disappointing.
Yeah, Rassie said after, I don't know what I can say that isn't controversial. It didn't look good. It was justified red card. The optics weren't great. I think with someone like Rassie, he obviously has great relationships with players, so he'll know how to deal with that as an individual. And what would your take on that is? Obviously, Skoltberger in 2009, right?
Yeah.
Similar instance against the Lions. Yeah. Is that where a coach has to come in and just have a word with that individual, or is it done in terms of your leadership group takes care of that? Of course, Eben would be part of the leadership group, and I'm guessing Skolt was also part of the leadership group.
So the game's obviously moved on from 2009, and I think if we were into 2009 with today's set of rules, what's happening, Skolt would have potentially got a lot more than a yellow card. A yellow card.
It's come a long way.
A yellow card in that game. I'm not quite sure it would have been a 20-minute red card either. So the game has come along, and we are looking at player welfare, and I think that's in the one side in terms of being positive. It is encouraging that player welfare is. And World Rugby has changed this directive about tackle height, head contact, because we want to change behaviour. But then when you have an Autumn Nation series that is like this, where you're getting the most number of red cards, most number of yellow cards, are we seeing behaviour change? And are we potentially embracing the physicality of rugby while keeping player welfare at its all-time high? On the leadership on the leadership side of things, there will be some really harsh words spoken. The person that will be the most disappointed, the person that will feel it the most because of who he is, what he means to the team, the caliber of player that is Eben. I dived in the 2014 Champions Cup final at the Principality when I had a slight touch on my left shoulder by Owen Farrell, which Steve Borthwood actually had a whole go at me on the field for. And I had to publicly come out and apologise, right? We didn't have, sentences and things post that, which was difficult. But Eben will be feeling it the most. And I think what a lot of people who see him from the outside and don't know the person, he is one of the best human beings ever. Yes, he's got a hard, aggressive nature out in the field, but he's one of the most loyal people. He's one of the first people you'll phone if you find yourself in trouble. He's one of the first people that will actually rock up, to help you out, bail you out, whatever that might be. So his value as a person far outweighs this one incident. Unfortunately, it will put a dampen on the legacy that he has created for himself. And I honestly believe that he would be the first Springbok rugby player to play 150 test matches for the country. He might have to play till 42 now. And given that Marnon is playing at Toulon at 43, it is possible.
I was going to say, I guess we spoke earlier about wanting to be in the Springbok team and knowing your role and being part of just the group and being part of the bigger thing, especially when I guess he'll be upsetting himself in the fact that he's put the opportunity there to take himself out of that environment or with a ban or whatever it is. And I'm sure he will still be involved, but again, it's any time maybe you get to a certain age, you want to be in the team and say, should you get taken out, the strength, the depth in the Springboks, the guys that can come on and take your place. It's, it's not going to be, I don't comment, but I say you don't want to take yourself out of the team because someone can replace you. And ultimately you run that risk, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you look at a guy like RG Snyman, just played his 50th test match for South Africa. His handling skills are phenomenal. Ruan Nokia has been just brilliant in a position that's sort of been wavering over the last couple of years with Louis de Jager being injured and no one really stamping the authority on it. But there's this sort of generation coming through that, Eben, again, we don't know how long he might be out of the game or will be out of the game for, but that gives someone else the opportunity. And Rassie Erasmus in the World Cup semi-final against England took captain Siya Kolisi, most capped player Eben Etzebeth, and second lead in the team, Dwayne Vermeulen, off the field 7 minutes into the second half.
Yeah.
Of a World Cup semi-final, right? And, we've now seen with someone like Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu, Rassie is not scared to make the hard decisions. And, you do put yourself, particularly at the latter part of your career. I think Eben's got at least another 5-6 years in him, in my personal opinion. I do think we will, with most out of doubt, see him back in a Springbok jumper at some point. And he'll be railing to make sure that he does it justice again. But yeah, it's gonna be tough getting back into that team, whatever the length of ban is.
Well, that first game that he comes back for could be versus England, and of course that's the match we didn't get to see during this autumn. And I look at the bomb squad in terms of what South Africa Rugby have built and what England are trying to build. So I have a theory that I was a coach, I think I would put 2 loose heads on the bench and 2 tight heads on the bench if I played the Springboks. Coley does not like my theory.
No,
Brian,
no.
I think I'm going to change the game with that theory.
Oh, Benny, that's firstly, I actually don't know from a law perspective if it's if it's doable. I don't know if you're allowed to have 2 front rows on the bench. I personally don't know if England have the depth.
I'm going to say, I don't think teams are struggling to have 2 good front rowers.
To play 10 minutes, all right, that's all I need from him.
But I mean, I think what will be brilliant if he does come back for that game, because I think it's going to be quite a few months on the sidelines, but we can have the bomb squad against the pom squad.
Yes. Although yesterday felt like the nuke squad from Rugby.
7-1.
Dropping 8 points at one time.
Yeah. Eight on at one time. 8 on at one time.
I still want to, at some points, and as a backline player, I know it's the worst thing in the world, but I would love to see an 8-0 bench.
8-0.
I would love to see it, because I mean, you look at Andre Esterhuizen, so he could potentially play on the flank. Kwagga Smith can play on the wing and at centre, so I reckon there's a possibility. And with how Grant Williams or Cobus Reinach are going, I reckon they can go full 80, which is not great for a scrum off because you don't get opportunity. But I reckon there's an opportunity at some point, because Rassie did say this year that he wants to set the precedent of being the best team in the world for the World Cup draw happening on the 3rd of December, which they've now done. They've achieved. They've had a phenomenal run. I think 86% win ratio for the year. But innovation is something he's really wanting to put to the fore next year. So he sort of skipped a real structure in how they wanted to play. Did things very much South African-ness in terms of power up front. Brought in some accelerating exhilaration at the back with Tony Brown, who's brought in a different level of thinking. But I think next year we'll see a growth in depth, an opportunity to try different things, and in so doing, make sure that the depth of squad leading into a 2027 Rugby World Cup is at an all-time high.
Do you reckon when a team gets announced, when Rassie reveals the team to the squad, that you're more happy about being on that bench and being part of that sort of impact bomb squad than you are starting? Do you know what I mean? It's almost like it's become such an elite 8 that get named on that. Like, it's almost the first thing I look at. When South Africa name their team, I'm like, who's coming on? What's the bench?
Well, if we look at Malcolm Marx having a long run in the starting jersey for this year, becoming World Rugby Player of the Year, the funny thing, to your point, is potentially as a backline player, I would now think about wanting to start on the bench, purely because the South African second half is where we're scoring our most points over the course of this year. So we had 37 unanswered points in Wellington. We came back and scored 17 points against the French. And the Island game was a bit of a disruption, which just doesn't go. But in this game, I think we went into halftime 28-0 and ended up winning by 52 points in the second half. So I would, as a backline player, there's potentially more scoring opportunities when you're coming off the bench than...
As a halfback, I can categorically say, given how much power the Boks have, and given the scrum, last 20 minutes, you'd be wanting to get out, scoot, challenge around the rock, get you off the wing on shoulder balls. Honestly, it'd be great fun.
I mean, the ability to show go. I'm not quite sure you'd have the pace, Benny, to finish it off.
Mate, not anymore.
It was more of a power 9, mate, to be honest. It was more of a...
I think actually both halfbacks, just on a side note, have been terrific this season.
They have been, and Morne van der Berg actually started this weekend, and again, and another bit of depth. But Grant Williams is apparently like the quickest player in the squad.
Andre told me this. He said he is. I mean, he can step, he can move, got a great eye for a gap. I really like him.
Yeah.
As I'm a big fan of Cobus Reinach, I have done for years. But my gosh, he can move and he can step. He's rapid by all accounts.
So good.
Is this the best Springboks team that you've ever seen? Of course, obviously you grew up watching them, been part of it, and now you're watching again. Is this the greatest Springboks team?
So as a collective, without a doubt, the best we've ever had. And it's sort of difficult because the squad looked very different in 2019, looked very different in 2023, and looks very different in 2025. So the reason I say as a collective, because what they've achieved over the course of the last 7 years, since 2018, no other Springbok side has ever achieved. Rassie's got the highest win percentage of any Springbok coach, bar Kitch Christie, but that was before the game became professional. The number of tries being scored, the number of Centurions, players with 50 caps happening is all in this generation. And possibly, given the year they've had, if they can back it up next year and in 2027, I think if they can go on and win a Rugby World Cup in 2027, purely in terms of accolades and achievements, it's the best Springbok squad ever, but it's going to be the best world rugby team ever. Yes, 2011, 2015 All Blacks were just on another level. Individually, where would they sit? It would be really, I think you're almost looking at a 60 All Blacks, 40% South Africa current squad genetic makeup. If you were to choose a combined 15, the likes of Eben would potentially be that one, but you'd potentially look at a Malcolm Marx, Kevin Mialamu, who do you put in there? Sia as a captain in comparison to Richie McCaw, there's a leadership capabilities. I mean, Sasha Feinberg, as young as he is, would he be better than Andre Pollard against Dan Carter? It'd be tough. Marnani, Damon, Dealendi. It's so tough. So at the moment, without a doubt, in a shadow of a mind, the best Springbok squad we've ever had as a collective, and what they're reaching at the minute, they are very close to becoming one of the best teams of all time.
Do you have any fears for the squad? Obviously, it's been dominant in rugby so much, and there's is there any World Cups can be decided on smaller margins? But I say South Africa so far in front that it's almost not an inevitability about the World Cup, but is there not a fear in the squad that you could lose a game? You know what I mean? How do you sort of negate that? Because
Coley, exactly right. Because when you look at it in terms of the World Cup, Springboks have been so dominant and continue to be so dominant. But one team ultimately needs to play above themselves for one game, and South Africa almost need to have an off day, and then you're lost. And is that pressure? Are they aware of that pressure, or do they just feel so confident in terms of how they're set up to play? Like you mentioned, the substitutes early, some of the leadership that goes off, and people come on, you think, oh my gosh, and they're even getting better.
Yeah.
So is it to be aware of or not?
No, I think for many of us now sitting on the sideline, you sort of look in a World Cup cycle. The second year into that cycle is determinant of where teams are. 2006 as a Springbok squad, we lost 49-0 against Australia ahead of a Rugby World Cup in 07 that we won. People were saying John Smith's too old, Bryan Habana's come and gone, Victor Matfield's a has-been. A year later, we beat England 36-0 in the pool, go on and win a Rugby World Cup. You need a bit of luck in a Rugby World Cup. You need to be at your best for at least 6 of the 8 weeks. And I think, if you look at 23, we saw 2019, they lost to New Zealand in the opening game. 23, they lost to Ireland in the pool stage. But in my opinion, their route to winning the 2023 Rugby World Cup was the most difficult that any team has ever had to do.
100%.
They played 4 of the top 5 teams in World Rugby. 1-point victories 3 weekends in a row. So for me, I look at this current squad, the genetic makeup of each and every person understanding their role and contribution. And I think where Rassie is not only innovative, thinking out the box, but his ability to plan for every situation is so unique, so profound. And he was like that as a player. His detailed analysis of every moment. I don't think he has 3-hour video sessions anymore, luckily, and because of the advancement in technology. But his planning and his preparation in every player, and you talk about the team being named, I sort of hear that the team gets named every week for the next 4 weeks at the start of the tour. So you know exactly where you stand. You know exactly when you're playing. You know exactly when you need to bring the energy. And there's reasons given. And if you don't buy into that, shape up or shift out. Right?
That's very interesting.
And I think that's where the players have got comfort in their roles, in their responsibilities. You look at the game against New Zealand in Wellington, had a great opportunity to beat the All Blacks in Eden Park for the first time in 60-odd years, where 70-odd years, he changes the whole back line. Likes of Andre Pollard out, Jesse Kriel out, brings in a Damian Williams, a Sasha Feinberg, and Ngomazulu, and they scored 37 unanswered points in the second half against New Zealand. So I think that role and understanding of planning, preparing, and each and every player understanding. And you talk about, am I worried as a South African rugby supporter going into 27? This World Cup cycle has shown I'm very comfortable that they're going to be trying new things next year. And as supporters, we need to be comfortable that there might be a loss here or there. But what is that in preparation for a 2027 Rugby World Cup, where 1-point victories 3 weekends in a row against 3 of the top 4 teams in the world, winning a Rugby World Cup final in 23? That's pretty impressive.
Very impressive, and they continue to impress, don't they, Coley? So, look, a very successful Northern tour for South Africa. Slightly overshadowed by what happened with Eben, of course, and just the discipline and how that's going to unfold.
Yeah, so firstly, maybe a quick stat. Fun. I mean, we have a braai in South Africa. What do you have in the UK? Barbecue?
Barbecue. Once a year.
It's on roast dinner here. We don't go outside.
When's that? Once in August, right? Yes. Because the rest of the year you can't do it. So quick stat. I am the South African player with the most number of yellow cards in the history of South African rugby. I think
make you the hardest man in South Africa. Is that what you're saying?
Coley, I'd love to take that mantelpiece. Unfortunately, it was professional fouls, slap downs, or intercept attempts that were deemed as slap downs. Like, I always catch the ball. It was, and I think Eben's only got like 3 yellow cards, and this is his first ever red card. So people talk about this, bruiser, this abrasive physical presence that's always like is overstepping the line. I've got more yellow cards than Bucky Sporter, Skalkberger, and Eben Etzebeth. potentially combined. So I'm not a baddie. I'm a lover, not a fighter in any way or form. But this would have put a damper on what has been a phenomenal year for the Springboks. And I don't think we can let this one incident define the year that the Springboks have had, the history they've made. It's the second year in a row where they've not only won back-to-back rugby championships, they've now gone unbeaten on the end of year tour. I think they've won 20 of the last 21 games in the Northern Hemisphere in November. And that is an incredible stat to really look at yourselves. They unfortunately, a lot of them now go into a Japanese season, a EuroC Champions Cup season, so it's going to be a long year. But as a Springbok supporter, if I reflect on this year, that report card is absolutely distinction laden.
Absolutely, and we look forward to watching the Springboks back in action against England, because we get to see them have a crack.
So see you guys in South Africa.
And we'll see you out there, Bryan.
Love of rugby at a wine farm?
Yeah,
how does that sound?
Mate, that sounds brilliant. Except we won't do an interview or podcast. We'll just enjoy the wine, Bryan. So
we need to love rugby in South Africa, because we need as much pounds coming to South Africa as possible. So might actually become a shareholder in a wine farm that we go to, so that we export to the Youngs and Cole businesses in the UK.
Sounds good.
Yeah, wine and meat and carbs and anything really.
Mate, thanks so much for joining. Enjoy the rest of the Emirates Dubai Sevens. Thanks,
Have a
mate.
good one.
Cheers. Well, the great Bryan Habana has now left. Brilliant to have his insight regarding South Africa. Wales, how will those lads be feeling? On the back of, I was positive about them last week, and I still am, because you've got to remember they had 13 players unavailable for this game. So is it more of a reflection of Welsh rugby organising that fixture? Like, why would you? And then if you are those players, what have you taken out of that game?
Well, I think, as a player, you're never going to say no to playing for your country. So, that's taken out of you. So you just got to do it. And I think, it's you have to look at the autumn as a whole for Wales and the progress, and you understand that you're up against it. And also, it was almost a free swing for Wales in some regards, because beforehand, they're not expected to win, are they? And it's the result that happened is not say unexpected, but yeah, they'll be disappointed because they didn't score any points. But at the same time, it was a bit of a, Wales, you're in a progress, you're building, you've had some results against Japan, you've shown progress, against New Zealand, and then you come and stuck against Africa with missing 13 players. So for you, it's a free swing, and I think you'll find out about blokes in the squad, you find out about your depth of your team, and as well, you've got to take the whole autumn as a whole rather than just one game.
Yeah, I think you do have to look at it as a whole package. And look, the Springboks have been so dominant. You look what they did against France, of course, done against Ireland. I mean, they've blown every team out of the water. And I think from Wales' point of view, as you said, it's almost a shame that fixture was put in that schedule that didn't allow those players that we saw some promise against New Zealand. We saw some creativity. We saw some structured plays that we haven't necessarily seen for the last few years. And it's a shame they couldn't build on the back of that. So almost from an organisation point of view, that's the bit that I'm looking from the outside. I'm thinking that they've been let down a bit there.
But at the same time, I think if you're in those camps, those three the games they've played, you're looking at sort of Japan, New Zealand, the way they play, you can kind of prep for in regards to you spend a couple of weeks trying to build your game, and because I say Japan, New Zealand have a similar kind of they keep hold of the ball, you know what I mean, the possession base, and you can spend your time. So South Africa's probably the outlier in regards to actually, lads, we'll prep for these games and make sure we get how we want to play Wales, our defence ready, when we're striking in the air, that kind of stuff ready. And then South Africa's almost probably the bolt on at the end of the week in terms of the squad, and you're not sort of, you're not going to try and peak for that game. We've had it in camps, haven't you, before, where it's the final game's almost the meat of it's in the middle, and say afterwards it's a bolt on. So therefore it's how you are in camp, how you learn about the players individually and what they are in the environment rather than the performance on the field, I'd say.
At the very least, Tandy's tenure is underway. He knows more about the squad. He knows the gap in terms of where they're at against other nations. And he can now almost absorb what's happened this autumn. He can go away, and it now builds towards the Six Nations in terms of what he needs to get right. What are the parts of his game that he needs to improve? What are the bits they're missing? A bit more about depth. Knows about players. Knows about individuals. Knows how to get the best out of them. So, at the very least, it's underway. The campaign's going, and he has something to work with. You have to think the Wales coming from quite a low starting point, and the route isn't going to be straight up or flat. It's going to be ups and downs. Remember we played in Steve Borthwick's first tenure in the Six Nations. We played France, didn't we? We had a couple of dodgy results. We played France. We lost by 50 points. And then, you know what I mean? So sometimes when the results go against you, and especially with the teams that are coming together,
your coaching staff. Sometimes the slide happens, and that happened in the second half, and the game just got away from them. So these things happen, but you learn from it and say you know what you now. Well, those guys know what they can't do, where they have to be, and say if you can use it you can take positives out of them in regards to they're the best team in the world. They're here. We're here. We have exposed ourselves to that. We have to elevate our game, and we're not going to get to there straight away. But you know what I mean. You know that you can't let off in kick sprint, you can't let off in this, that and the other. So there are improvements to take. And I think if you're a Welsh fan, again, you're more positive looking at this Six Nations than I would be looking at the previous one. You know what I mean? Because definitely the squad has changed. Guys have been brought in. They've got new caps. They've got more depth. They've got better, as a squad, they look more cohesive. So yeah, I think if you're a Welsh fan, you have to sort of slightly ignore this game and take the autumn as a whole. But you've got to be positive.
Dan, I'll stop you there because another World Cup winner has just arrived. Right, we are joined by the great Emily Scarratt. Scaz, how are you doing?
Yeah, really well, thank you. How are you guys? I mean, how can you not be good in this sort of sunshine?
Well,
yeah, how can you not? How can you not?
Funny you mentioned
that. Shady area of it.
Oh, how is your weekend been good?
It's been really good. It's been full on. I didn't quite know what I was stepping into. Obviously, you get these opportunities to come and do an ambassador role. I was probably expecting a bit more time in the sunshine and watching rugby, but no, it's been amazing. Obviously, this place has so much colour, so much energy, and just to get around some of that, obviously, on the other side of it, it's been great.
Yeah, or to be fair, now that we're all retired, it means that we get to do things like this. And you're right, though, the amount of things going off, I totally wasn't aware of how much stuff is on site, plenty of things to see, plenty of things to do. And we've been very busy, actually, haven't we, Coley?
We have, yes.
With some of our
yes
activation stuff.
We have, yes. But we haven't got to meet Shaggy, which is...
I know.
Tell us about Sean.
If you cocked off a bit early last night, you wouldn't have met him.
Shaggy and Sean DePaul.
So we started with Tiny Temper here.
Yep.
How can I forget Tiny?
Which was class. And this place was absolutely rammed. We had this vantage point, which was very cool. And then, Shaggy and Sean Paul as a combo to end the Saturday night, which was... Yeah, I mean, obviously they're probably more from our era back in the day a little bit, but there's still some classics.
They are, but then I think about Shaggy and I'm like, he's got 3 songs that I can remember, which is It Wasn't Me, Angels, and I can't now remember the... Yeah, Boom Bastard. And I was about to say, and I can't remember the third.
Yeah. And naturally he held It Wasn't Me back till right at the end.
Yeah, of course.
Which
just keep getting them engaged. You're really waiting for it.
Yeah, really. But it's interesting because I don't know whether the age demographic is a Shaggy age demographic or not, but they seem to love it anyway.
They were all for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've been doing loads of interviews, and obviously with your podcast, you're an experienced interviewer. Is that the first time you've interviewed sort of R&B stars?
100% yes. Yeah, normally I stick to basically what ends up being a lot of my friends. You guys will know what it's like. You're like, oh, can you just jump on the pod on Tuesday or whatever? So yeah, we're seriously stepping into some new territory. We're getting some cool pictures with some cool people. We also chatted to a load of the cricket ambassadors, which are some serious players from, through the years. Jimmy Anderson, Mahela Jayawardena, people like that, which is just kind of crazy. So again, afforded the opportunity to just come across some class people.
Well, we've got a nice Jimmy Anderson story, which we'll tell later on in the show, actually. We'll tell later in the show. Just about the World Cup, actually, we've got to mention it. Amazing. Incredible, what you've done for the Red Roses, but also to end in that way. Surely there is no better way of ending it.
No, I don't think so. And I don't know how you guys felt, but I didn't necessarily plan properly the ending with the World Cup obviously coming up. I was like, it could be, but I don't know how you'll feel, what the outcome will be, all of those sorts of stuff, whether you'll come out of it fit. But yeah, I mean, I hoped it would be that in terms of the tournament and the visibility we had, the amount of people that came to watch and just how big it was. But there's always that little bit of you. I've lived through some years where you hope it's going to be something and it doesn't quite turn out to be that. And it was honestly unbelievable. I don't know how to articulate. Obviously, we've been talking about it for a month or so, but I don't know how to articulate how amazing it was. What a movement and what a moment it felt like for the girls and the game. But yeah, I mean, a sold out Allianz Twickenham. I'm sure you guys remember your first time at that place when it was packed. It was something pretty special.
It was amazing. You were there, of course, weren't you? For the final.
Yes. I was there in my shirt.
With the World Cup preparation, you had a question about Mitch, actually, didn't you? About
just involved in that squad. Was it? Did you say you didn't plan retirement or anything? Was the with that squad in the World Cup, you kind of just wanted to be, not say just wanted to be involved, as you want to push for position, but did Mitch talk to you beforehand about how you use your experience, use your knowledge, and help and mentor people? Or was that part of this whole sort of, for you, the tournament as well?
Yeah, obviously, you go into it as a player and you want to play as much as you possibly can. There was a couple of knocks and bumps along the way that unfortunately meant I didn't play some of the games I was meant to. I would never have started the final or semi or anything. That was never the case, but there would have been a bit more opportunity to have played had a couple of things fallen better, but it's just the way it is. But essentially, yeah, like Mitch is quite good at laying the land out a little bit and letting you know what role you take, and I think it wasn't like we were selected for that role, but he was really keen to have experienced people in those roles as well to make sure that, you know, it's like non-playing players, it can spiral at times, it can be tough. You obviously want to play, just to make sure that obviously the vibe was good, we were still contributing, and also that role was seen as a really important role. Again, it's so easy to say, isn't it? It's quite hard to live sometimes, but I think hopefully we did a pretty good job.
Have you been able to reflect on everything, Emily? Because reflect on the fact of when you first started, to seeing the game's engagement, coverage, participation, crowds coming, fans engagement, all that. You've seen it, the whole transition all the way through. Have you had a moment to actually reflect on your impact on the game, and from how it started to how it ended, you're like, yeah, that's pretty awesome?
A little bit, but probably not massively. It's weird, isn't it? When you go along it, it's just been these really nice gradual step changes, and obviously culminated in that packed out Allianz Stadium. But actually, it's not until you go back to the start and then go back to the end, you realise that actually it's been one hell of a gulf. I obviously started amateur for a good few years, and then obviously we became professional. We were paid pennies, and now actually the wage is a bit better. You know, there's been so many shifts in all of that sort of stuff. You know, Ellie Kildun's out here. She's able to be such a face of the game and show it around the world, being recognised in places. I know loads of the girls are getting way more opportunities now than we ever have had. And it's awesome to be in that space. And yeah, have I reflected on it properly? Probably not. Probably just kind of riding that wave and hoping it goes a long way at the moment.
How is that though? Like you mentioned there, Ellie Kildun, obviously like the face of it, but for a long time, Scat, and you still are, but for a long time you were though. Like everyone knew Emily Scarratt, best player in the world and all that. So is it hard when you're almost pushed into that, having to do that role? Like Ellie is obviously having to do that, but you had to do that for a long time in your career.
Yeah, it felt like a real honour in a way, because, and also a pressure, because, you know, our game was growing and everyone was on this big, crusade's the wrong word, but you know what I mean? We were all trying to push in the right direction. We were trying to make it bigger. We were trying to get more people involved and money and all of that sort of stuff. So it was, in many ways, it was a great honour. I'm very proud of obviously being a part of that journey along with so many others. But there was an element of pressure, like if you didn't show up to a game, or if you know, had a couple of shockers or whatever, like that's obviously not where you wanted to pitch yourself, and it did feel like obviously people were looking at you. But yeah, I think on the most part, I was just really proud to have been a part of that journey. It's quite a hard question to answer, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I think you should be proud of what you've given to the game. Been amazing. And of course, Coley's now not involved in coaching, but involved back at the club, and you are now involved in coaching.
Yeah.
So, in the future, are we seeing a Red Roses coach?
Who knows? What, me or Coley?
yeah, I mean, he can coach the scrum.
Scrum doctor, yeah.
I mean, the ball movement will be very limited, I'd say. Yeah.
I've taken a kicking masterclass this weekend, mate. I'm, you know,
yeah,
I'm
it's not that hard, is it? I don't know, if I'm totally honest with you. I think never say never. I do love coaching. I've stayed on at Loughborough a little bit like yourself, still involved with Tigers. Bit of part-time coaching. I know I enjoy it. Whether I want to be a coach, obviously it's quite different. And it's, you know, a big commitment, and a lot of time has to go into being a what I'd call a proper coach. So we'll just see. Yeah, I'm happy at the moment just to explore that space, see what other things come up. Hopefully have a bit of time as well, just to let the land lie. You know, it's like when you're on a schedule for so many years, you do the same thing. You're just absolutely institutionalized. So it's been nice just to step back a little bit, have a little bit of freedom, and see where that goes. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, Skaz, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Take care.
Stay cool, Coley.
Yeah, get him a fan,
cool.
please.
It's not stay
Ice
cool,
bucket
it's
for
get
Coley.
cool.
We need a break. We're going to a break. He needs to dip his head into ice.
Well, thank you to Skaz, and if you want to hear more from her, she has her own podcast called The Good, The Skaz and The Rugby, so give that a good listen. Ben, we are here at the Emirates Dubai Sevens, and we've had a good weekend, haven't we?
I've had a great time, Coley. I'm not going to lie. I have had an amazing time.
You want to talk us through some of your highlights?
Highlights. Oh, where do we start? The first thing I'd start about is that we did, of course, a live show in the sunroom, and we were chatting to people, and people were being very friendly, being very, very nice. And a chap came over with his partner, and he was a big fan. Luckily, he knew who we were, so it's always awkward if someone comes over and they have no idea. However, his wife had no idea.
Well, she was French, wasn't she?
She was French, and she had no idea. So when her husband started chatting to us, she quickly realised that we weren't fellow business colleagues or anything like that. We were simply two random blokes in her eyes. Which she explained to her that we'd played for England Rugby. She then suggested, well, what era? You know, who did you play against?
She said, what era did you play? And we sort of said, sort of 2010 to quite recently. And then she said, who's the best player you've ever played against? And just as we were forming an answer, she said, was it Fabien Gaultier?
Which hurt a bit, I'm not going to lie. Never got the honour of playing against Fabien Gaultier in 2003.
Yeah, it was a humbling moment.
I thought I haven't been outside in the sun for that long that I look that old and wrinkly.
She may have been looking at me, Ben. But quickly turned around. Yeah, and Anton Dupont, you probably heard of him. Yeah, played against him.
Yeah, played against him loads of time. He ran rings around me.
So I've just been informed that Fabien Gaultier is 56.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, he's only 18 years older than me.
What made it even more weird was the fact that once we said we played against, you know, your Intermax, your Duponts, your Dusautoirs in our early careers, your Harry Nordickies, all these great players, Josions. No, she just wasn't impressed
wasn't bothered at all, yeah.
Until we said, and Fabien coached against us. And then she was like, yeah, excellent. So that was the first time. What else have we been up to? What's the second thing
we've been doing? Loads. We've been coaching.
We have been coaching.
We coached some under 10s, and one of them came up to me and said, I'm the next Beauden Barrett. So I went and took him for a scrum masterclass.
Turns out he's not the next Dan Cole.
New Zealand rugby might hate me, but the rest of the world, if I've just
the rest of the world,
if I've just put the next Beauden Barrett off rugby, you know, thank me, thank me, thank me in 15 years.
Just thank him in the comments. Yeah. We did some coaching, except for we did it in extremely hot conditions, and we thought we were doing one age group. Turns out, because we're all about the love of the game here, the love of rugby, we were doing 3 different age groups. So we were out there for quite a while, a little bit underprepared when it came to the midday heat, and I was very hot and uncomfortable come the end of it, as were you. I feel like I might have mild sunstroke after that.
Yeah, I also think I cramped my calf midway through the night, which is probably the first time I've actually done any running since retiring. So
I forgot you told me that in the morning.
Yeah, I literally woke up at 2 a.m. was like, is that cramp? I was like, what? Literally all I did was run after a few loose balls, so yeah.
And a personal highlight for you was watching me do a passing session with a very keen scum half at the end of the session,
after the coaching,
which you found highly amusing.
After the coach session, one of the parents said, Ben said one of the mums said to the dad, Ben Youngs is going to help our kid do some passing. And the dad started filming, and then you claim that you said, I'm just going to watch you pass. I'm not going to catch these. But these balls hit you.
Which is logic, right?
These balls hit you square in the hands, and both of them just hit the floor. They were good passes, and they hit you square there. Then afterwards, right, the best part was, so you've dropped these 2 balls. Afterwards, we've all seen this, and we've gone up to the dad, and we're like, have you recorded that? It's like, yeah. It's like, can we get the footage? What, of my son? It's like, no, mate. Of Lenny dropping the ball twice. We need that, mate. He's like, oh, yeah, fine. So, yeah, that was the second highlight.
One, I had sunstroke, no doubt about it. And 2, I am right. I was watching his hands come out. I wasn't bothered about the ball. But anyway, we can run with that.
Oh, yeah. And that's not the only...
I've explained this off air.
That's not the only time that you...
This was confidential.
Yeah, we were going to do a passing challenge to win some cuddly toys. And you just had to pass someone said, Coley, can you pass this ball for that hoop to win to win a prize? And I thought, no, I know one guy. I know, a guy that spent his entire career passing a rugby ball accurately. Ben, how did you do on the passing challenge?
Not great. There's not really any excuse, to be fair. I literally just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. To the point I couldn't do it, you were like, right, I'll have a go. And you grabbed it and you put it straight through the net. Which, to be fair, at times I've, my pride's been tested, and it will be tested this afternoon when I do the
apparently
do the challenge.
we did a what bike challenge.
But certainly my pride was tested yesterday.
Apparently you beat me on a power test on the bike.
Oh, I did, yeah.
Yeah, apparently. I don't know how.
I'm a different type of athlete.
Yeah, exactly. So we've actually reversed roles, haven't we?
Well, why need to pass when you can just power through? That's my new way.
One thing we both did enjoy was the eating challenge. Like here at the Emirates Dubai 7, so they basically said to us that there's so much, there's like 30 odd food trucks and stuff like that, and different food from all over the globe. And it's like, boys, can you go out there and you got about an hour? Can you take as many as you can and rate it and for socials? And it's like, yeah, that's brilliant. We'll do that. No worries. So we must have wolfed down about 8 different meals in an hour, and I mean it was all good. So it wasn't. They just have a nibble,
great food.
and also it's like just have a nibble, then leave it. It's like no, you can't leave food. Like it's you've got to eat it. So yeah, we ate it all, and it was only afterwards. Can't remember the direct quote, but it's something like, "Oh, we've been trying to do that for 3 years now, but no one's been able to do, or no one wants to do it.
No one's willing
No
to
one's
do
willing
it.
to do it. Yeah." So then it was like, that's a backhanded compliment, isn't it? You just found 2 recently retired, slightly overweight blokes these will do it.
And on the back of having full stomachs, we thought then it would be a great idea to connect with some of the cricket lot, because we got a text from Brody. I hear you're out at the Emirates Dubai Sevens. Have a great time, lads. And just to let you know that Kate Cross is out there and Jimmy Anderson. Now, of course, Jimmy Anderson and Stuart Broad are very good friends, and we kind of got stitched up really. So we went over. Next minute, we found ourselves in the nets.
We went over for an interview, and next thing these 2 bats come out, and it's like, right, what do we do with them? It's like, well, walk down there into the nets with no pads on, by the way. Bear in mind, like THBs that we are.
Well, yeah, mate, if you call yourselves THBs, you got to back it up. And we were willing to face Kate and Jimmy steaming in. To be fair, they went very kind to us, but I did ask for a couple of full noise ones, and it was terrifying. So cheers, Brody. Really appreciate that, mate. Thanks for sorting that out. Great activation, that one.
I would say I saw my life flash before my eyes, but I was watching down the wicket, barely could see it anyway. I could see the ball come out of the hand, and then it was about 3 seconds after my life flashed before my eyes as the balls whizzed past my head. It came out of nowhere. It's like, there's the ball, and it's gone. And you're like, that was almost at me. So yeah, no, it was, apparently that was only like 55 mile an hour or something like that.
Yes, Coley. As you said, Jimmy did steam in, but only at 55 miles an hour. I can't even imagine how frightening it would have been facing him at full peak Jimmy Anderson. But we have got video footage, so roll that now. Not quite sure how this is unfolded.
We've come to the Emirates Dubai Sevens, and somehow we've ended up in the cricket nets, going to be facing balls from Kate and Jimmy, who are England legends, and we weren't prepared for this.
What could possibly go wrong? Pad up.
The long walk. Go on, Ben.
I need to tell myself this is like a bucket list. Do you know what I mean?
Anywhere at the body.
Not full noise. Oh. Jimmy, thank you for going. Thank you for going nicely, mate.
He's retired. It's fine.
Could have been Edgerton out there, to be fair.
Right.
That was very close.
Keep going until you hit him. Keep going until
How's this happening? Go on, Jimmy.
He can. His head.
Coley, at any point you can come in, mate. No worries.
He's a big boy. There you go. Ben
you go one full tilt, but let me step away from the stumps, just so I can see it. Fucking hell. Thank you, mate. That was great. Coley.
Nicely warm. Right,
go get him, mate.
Yeah. Brilliant.
It's actually quite smart for me, because tactically I went in all confident, knowing they'll take a bit of time to warm up. They're now warmed up. Coley's turn. Good luck.
Right. Jesus Christ.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that's, coming at me. It's fine.
You can't see.
What am I doing? Here we go, right. Fucking hell.
Hey, Coley, you can move your legs, mate.
Oh, mate, I can't even see it till late. I'm just...
Coley, you're doing great, mate.
Oh, I'm not. I can't even throw a ball.
Lovely Yorker would be great.
He's playable.
No, nothing. We're both retired now. Doesn't really matter what happens.
I'm going to jog on the spot. That'll move my feet, won't it? Oh! Let's just not play on. It's got a lot hotter in Dubai right now.
I think you've done all right, Coley.
It's incredibly hot.
For a man who's incredibly stiff.
Thank you. Really enjoying this day. It's the only way to get better. I don't even know how to play cricket, right? Where the frick is that coming from? You hit it? That's a hit.
He's so happy he's in it.
Oh, I'm here. Like, thank you. That's straight down the middle.
Get out for the sixth time.
Well. I don't see it. That's two. Like,
Well done, mate.
thank you.
Thank you. Amazing.
My comfort zone is, I'm totally out of it.
Hey, well done, mate.
But well, thank you. That was, it wasn't impressive at all.
Some would say we held our own. Others would say we absolutely didn't.
Fully immerse ourselves in it. So we're off. We have got a episode coming out later this week. It's obviously the return of the Investec Champions Cup this week. So Ben, you've been very busy.
It is the big preview episode of the Investec Champions Cup. We've got Jamie George, we've got Hugo Keenan, and we have Manu Tuolangi. We're going to do all the preview of the games. There's also a deep dive into how you expect teams to play as I do the analysis for that. So look out for that, like and subscribe, and you will not miss it.
Thanks to Emirates Dubai Sevens, and goodbye. For the love of rugby.